YouTube channel.
My YouTube channel. It's recording too. Punk ass. Punk ass. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. And can you believe that we've hit the 1-year mark of COVID? It's literally been a whole ass year since COVID came to light and pretty much took over our everyday lives. Now, I know this pandemic, this quarantine, it really shifted people's lifestyles completely, but I strongly believe that in everything, in any situation, good or bad, there's always something to take away from it when you just sit back and reflect. That being said, I wanted to share some of the things that COVID taught me in this past year. Before we get into it, I'm going to do like a little story time about how I found out about the whole lockdown to begin with back in March. I would love to hear your stories, so please comment down below and tell me how you found out about the lockdown when it initially happened, where were you, and how did you go about finding out about it? How did it go down, okay? So if you've been following me for a while, then you know that I am a workaholic, and at the time I was working 2 jobs. I had a full-time job and a part-time job. My full-time job was in health insurance and my part-time job was in retail. So during the day, I'm at my health insurance job, and my manager, she's going around and she's like asking everyone questions, and she's just like, you know, do you have a space at home where you could potentially work from home? It's a quiet space. It has to be like away from people, like that kind of thing. Do I have any distractions? Like, do I have kids? And then just like if I have high-speed internet, because the program that we were using at the time, it relied on high-speed internet. So of course myself, as well as like many other people, we all said yes because, you know, we did. So that was basically, if we needed to, we could work from home. So she was getting all that information ready just so she could make that list to, if it came to it, that was what was going to happen, that we would work from home. Now, I just remember everybody being like super relaxed that day. You know, she's going around, she's asking her questions, and everyone's just like, yeah, I can work from home if need be. And yeah, everyone was just super chill about it and not really taking anything kind of seriously in that sense, because I really feel like people just did not think that we would have to work from home at some point. So then of course I, was working back-to-back jobs, so I head over to my retail job, and I know there was an announcement around 3 o'clock that day about there being a potential lockdown. So I hit the mall at 6 o'clock to go to my retail job, and the store is just packed. There's so many people. They told me they got hit around 4 o'clock. The announcement was at 3. So I guess people just flooded the mall. Like, it was so crazy. The line was like warping around the panty bar. The girls were working hard at the cash line to make sure like people were just getting out. Now, my team that night was in to do a floor set. Like, we were gonna make some changes in the store, update some visuals, like that's what I was there for. Now, I literally had not been there for like 2 hours, probably barely over an hour, when my manager comes in, like one of the managers comes in, and she's like, nope, like, stop what you're doing, pack your things, like, we're going home, the store is closed. Like I was shooketh, like what was going on. So I knew there was the announcement around 3 o'clock about the potential lockdown, but I think the way people just flooded the mall, it just triggered it to be an immediate lockdown. I don't know the whole gist of it, but that's my take on it, because the mall was packed. And I remember my poor store manager, it was her day off, she was on a date, and she had to leave her date to come to the store and make sure everything was like closed properly, because like we were shut down, like we were done. Anyways, I went home. I didn't think too much of it because I still had to go to my full-time job the next morning. Like, they didn't tell us anything. We didn't hear otherwise. So as far as I knew, I was going in. So next morning comes, and everyone is frantically packing up their equipment, packing up their computers, and packing up their like desks and their belongings, and they're going home. They're packing it into their cars and they're going home. And I'm just like, okay. It was funny though, because people were straight up being like, technically they could have worked from home this entire time, but we all know that our managers were like micromanagers, that they just wanted to observe you all the time. But I'm like, these people could have straight up been working from home all these years. Like, honestly, it was just so hectic, and everyone's picking up their things and they're going home. And you know what my manager tells me? Do you know what this woman told me? She tells me, you're not priority. She says, I'm young, so I'm not high risk to get sick, so I'm gonna be coming in to cover the mailroom, which was not my job. What? Really brushed me off so fast. Like, this woman, I tell you. But yeah, if you want to know more about that experience, I posted a video about it. Just look for the thumbnail where I'm crying. But yeah, then I worked there until July 14th, and then I quit on the spot, and my retail store opened back up and welcomed me in with open arms and a full-time position. So, win-win. That being said, let's get straight into the first thing that COVID taught me, which is that mental health is so important. You guys already know that mental health is not a joke to me, and it should be taken so seriously, and it is so real. I really think in terms of my situation, everything went the way that it needed to be, that it needed to go. I think if the lockdown hadn't happened, I really wouldn't have had that time to sit back and realize, you know, how these people treated me. Like, I knew, but without the lockdown happening, I feel like I wouldn't have left. I probably would have just kept pushing through and forcing myself to work day in, day out with these miserable ass people just because I needed to pay the bills. But yeah, with the lockdown happening, I feel like it put so many things into perspective, and it's like I just kind of really started to understand my worth and the way these people treated me, even though they weren't physically in the office, and the way they talked down to me. I was just like, no, like, I don't need this. Like, it was a weight lifted from my shoulders when I put in that resignation. It was beautiful. And I really think that was the beginning of, you know, me starting to really consider my mental health and loving myself and taking care of myself. Which leads me to my second lesson from COVID, which is self-love is the best love. Shout out to all the fellas who are out there loving themselves, especially more so in this past year, but I really want to hype up the ladies for this one. We live in a world where social media dictates the crap out of how we see ourselves. And I would just like to say that I feel like in this past year, women are breaking barriers with that perception of us. Myself included. I love that we are putting our foot down for what we want and what we deserve and not settling for anything less. Straight up, social media tells us that we are damned if we do and damned if we don't. So I'm just gonna do what I feel is good for me and my body. Either way, the amount of incredible, self-loving, you know, body-accepting babes that were now on social media and posting themselves and putting themselves out there, it was amazing. Like, I was blown away. And honestly, it's been really inspiring for me to see that switch. Even in the past few months, like, I myself have been so uplifted by the women in my life and the projects that I've been a part of. And it just further drives me to love myself more and more. And that's including, you know, the jiggles and all. Which leads me to my third lesson. Now, fitness is of course a very big thing to me, but I did find that I was very dependent on going to the gym. I was like, oh, going to the gym is the only way possible for me to lose weight. Because that was my focus in life. That's what I thought my focus was, that I just wanted to lose weight and I needed to go to the gym to do so. Now, for those of you who do know, I've been doing Muay Thai for about 6 years now. And I honestly believe that the reason why, like, I haven't gotten as far in Muay Thai as I've thought I wanted to was because of the fact that I wasn't focusing on, you know, developing myself and developing my skill. My biggest thing was being part of the gym and being part of a team. I feel that's why, like, I didn't get into, you know, fighting. I told myself that I wanted to, but I was never really interested in furthering my development kind of thing. I didn't train as hard as the other people. I didn't, you know, diet like everyone else did. I wasn't really interested in that, but I always liked the idea of being part of this team, and that's what I wanted to do. But I was so focused on being part of the team, and I felt like, oh, me coming to the gym and being there was me being part of the team. But that wasn't right. I was just not really investing in myself and focusing on my development. I just was just so focused on, like, no, if I'm here, I'm part of the team. And I think that's why when I didn't get fights, or when, you know, there was like a clique, and I was outside of that clique that I kind of fell out of love with the sport. And that wasn't right, because it wasn't the sport that did me wrong. It was my perception of me being there. That's what did me wrong. It was between July and like October. We were open for a period of time. And I think that's when I really started to realize that my focus was so on to being part of the team that it wasn't really on my skill. And I had to change how I worked out. I would go to the gym, and I would actually go there and I would start off with weights or do arms or do legs, whatever it was that day. I started making my own workout routines based on influencers that I would see on Instagram. I started creating my own workouts, followed by some pad work with Paul. He would always help me afterwards. And it was just like, you know, strengthening my body. For me to have a strong punch, I needed strong arms. That's how I felt. And I'm like, I started falling in love with my workouts again, if that makes sense. And by creating these workouts for myself, followed by the pad work, I slowly started to fall back in love with my workouts, and then slowly again into falling back in love with Muay Thai. Because now I was developing myself. I was working on myself. I was investing in myself. Because I was putting more effort into the workouts that I wanted to do, and, you know, creating like a plan. You can find it on my Instagram. It's in my fitness highlights. But I would make out these plans, and I would have these supersets and stuff like that. And I thought I was so proud of myself every time I accomplished my workouts. Now, this is not to say that I don't want to be part of a team, because I think I will always be part of the team, because I am part of the gym. But I really couldn't expect people to want me on their team if I didn't have the proper skill. That's just my take on it, because, you know, now I have my home gym and we're constantly trying to improve it. But I love working out now. I'm always looking forward to it. I love that I'm doing these challenges every month, like a fitness challenge for the month, and I think it's great. So basically what I'm trying to say is what COVID taught me is to develop myself for me and not for others. Now, alongside developing my skills, COVID also taught me to manage my money better. Now, I've been very fortunate that during these multiple lockdowns, I've had other jobs to, you know, fall back on to have a source of income. There was literally only 1 month where I did not have a source of like stable income coming in because my job was closed. Now, I did kind of see this coming, so I was able to plan ahead and save money to make sure that my bills were covered for that month and also the next month, so that way I wasn't going to be struggling. Now, as much as I like to say that I save, I do also spend money when I buy clothes and I eat out, and I tend to do that a lot. But when everything shut down, it made me realize that like I do spend a lot of money buying clothes and eating out. But with it closed, I was starting to, you know, save a little bit of that. Like I might have adult money, but I really don't need to buy everything that I want or that I think is cute. Even now with the malls back open, I literally have people telling me that they just have an itch to shop and they just have an itch to spend money and they just need to buy things. And it's hard. It's hard working in retail and wanting to buy things every day. Don't get me wrong, I kind of did. But in all honesty, I am more conscious about the dollars that I'm spending. You know, I take into consider what am I buying, how much is it, and how am I going to be using it. Like, I know those bags may have looked like a lot, but I can guarantee and tell you that these were a steal, and they were definitely things that I actually needed as opposed to just wanted because they were cute. And finally, the last lesson that COVID taught me was to stop being gross. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but I remember the days when I didn't have to sanitize after I touched something. Or when I would share my drink or share my food, no problem, go ahead, try it. Like, when you think about all the precautions that we take now, it just makes me realize how many of those things, like, I did not do that before. Honestly, like, even to hold something for someone, whether it's a door or their purse, like, I'm a little hesitant. And it's not that I'm a bad person or that I don't want to do it. It's literally just that I'm more aware and I'm more concerned now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm extremely lucky to be well equipped that if I do hold the door for someone or hold someone's purse, that I have a mini sanitizer in my back pocket to use right away if I need to. It's just so crazy when you think about, like, for me, I'm so protective of my fork and my straw now, and there was a time where I would literally be like, here, try this. So it's like I may come off as a little less, you know, sharing is caring, but I think everyone is now, and I just want to say that, you know, honestly, it's okay. It really is okay. Anyways, friends, that's it for this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And drop a comment about what COVID taught you. I'd still also love to hear your stories about how did you find out about the whole lockdown? Where were you? You know, what happened? Tell me the whole story. I do honestly want to know because I thought mine was kind of funny. That's me. But I just want you guys to remember that in any situation, good or bad, there is literally always something that you can take away from it. Just stop for a moment and reflect. With that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!